But I'll tell you one thing, Nick, I would 100% try to figure out what the process is first. To me, the process is, do they mortgage things there? What are the expenses that we don't know from the United States? So trying to be able to say, hey, give me a comparison. What happens in the US versus here? So you can get some information from, back home, because more than likely you're going to probably work with a realtor or a person that doesn't really speak the same language, that might not speak the same lingo, meaning what they might think of mortgages and what we think of mortgages are two different things. I had clients from Australia, and when we were talking, they were like, it was like something totally different how we would use that word than how they would use that word. And then we finally got kind of on the same page when I talked to the realtor they were using. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what it's like, because he had dealt with that quite a few times. So I think that's number one. So you can kind of get on the page and you can start thinking of other questions.
I would look at how you go on the deed. Are you allowed to have a fee simple deed where you actually own it? It's protected, it's insured, so that just because you're from another country, it can't be taken away from you. A lot of these countries now don't want a bunch of foreign owners, which is funny because America, as we have all these, big corporations from other countries buying farmland and everything else around us, America doesn't seem to care as much as other countries do. Other countries want to be owned by their own citizens, and so they limit the amount of foreign owners that there are. That being the case, that's kind of my little bit of, so talk to an attorney locally, and maybe you're okay with a 100-year lease or something like that, because you're not going to see the end of the lease. Maybe your kids will. What's that worth to you and your family over the next couple of years? Is there any way for people to extract or take the deed away from you, and all of a sudden they own it because you didn't pay your property taxes in 2 days? There's some weird stuff out there, Nick.
You talked about this probably 10 years ago on this exact same thing. I was really like, oh my gosh, yeah, I never really thought of that. But now all of a sudden on the political circuit, Nikki Haley just came out and said she wants any land owned by China to be taken back. Can that happen in another country? Do you own it under your own yourself? Or do you buy it under a corporation? I think there's a lot of little pieces that, I would try to find someone that knows Brazil, if it's Brazil that you're going, Brazil and America together, because it's super important to know, what you're getting into, because you could be throwing a bunch of money into something that they could maybe take away from you. Right. There's land leases. We own the land and we own the house. There's some places that you don't get that. And then at that point, how do you finance? If the banks in Brazil willing to finance you, are people in America, or do you got to pay cash?
Definitely, it's not as easy as I just want to buy, because the rules aren't the same in every country. For sure, take a little history lesson from somebody that's been around a while. Sit down with that older real estate agent. Let them tell you the story about what's happened over the years, what they did, what's happened in the past, how did they hurt people, help people. Because you see like a lot of countries like Belize now, where they're advertising to the U.S. saying, hey, bring your foreign dollars here. We have much, no tax. We have this, we have that. There's all these benefits that they're trying to allure you to bring your money in. And of course, that's the landowner that's selling their land that wants you to come in and pay an absorbent price for it. That's okay. That's capitalism.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, because like in Mexico too, you can't own the land. It's a 100-year lease. In Thailand, you can't. It has to be in a condo, an apartment, or in someone else's name, a Thai citizen's name. But there's a lot of programs now in some countries where, okay, you get permanent residency, and then after 3-5 years, you get the passport. And I think you, obviously, when you have the passport, you have the same rights as citizens here. So for sure, you got to look at what country and what kind of shenanigans are going on, because, like you said, it's happened in Mexico, in Tulum. I heard that from when I was in Mexico, that a bunch of French people bought land and built hotels, and it was going so good, and then the cartels came in there and took it away. Yeah, the whole governments were going at each other because of it too, and I don't think the French people got their money back.
Well, a lot of those big oil companies too, they had oil rigs and everything else, got that out.
Venezuela, they nationalized everything. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. That's their prerogative as a country, and they make decisions that will affect how money flows in and out of their country, and I understand that. It's just a matter of like you're looking for an investment opportunity, a place to live, a place to maybe have a family, whatever. It's like,